Solidarity session. Before we begin, allow me to deliver some housekeeping announcements. To minimize any interruptions, we kindly ask for you to please turn off your mobile phones or turn them on vibrate mode. And also, this session provides simultaneous interpretation in 3 languages. So for those of you who require interpretation services, please use your receivers, and those of you who are joining us online also turn to the respective channels. We have interpretation into English, Korean, and Chinese today. So please turn to channel 1 for Korean, channel 2 for English, and channel 4 for Chinese. Once again, for those of you who are joining us on site, please turn to channel 1 for Korean, channel 2 for English, and channel 4 for Chinese. We will soon begin, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your patience. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attendance. We will now begin the Global Peace Cities Solidarity session. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and good morning and good evening to those of you who are around the world. My name is Ju-Yeon Cho, and I have been given the honor of being your MC for today. Thank you very much. The Global Peace Cities Solidarity session is a special session that is hosted by Jeju, an island of world peace, in order to establish a peace cooperation network with global peace cities. And this endeavor marks its 4th anniversary since its inception. So distinguished guests from home and abroad have joined us today for the Global Peace City Solidarity session, so allow me to introduce them to you. First and foremost, from our host city, we have Governor of Jeju Special Self-Governing Province, Mr. Won Hee-ryong. Thank you very much. And online, we are also joined by the former president of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, the USSR, Mr. Mikhail Gorbachev, and, of course, the former president of the Republic of Colombia, Mr. Juan Manuel Santos Calderon. And also joining us online today is Mr. Thomas Schneider, the director of the Remark Peace Center, and Director Philip Hunch, Director of the World Center for Peace, who will also be participating as discussants. And on site, we're also joined by Professor Myung-Lim Park from Yonsei University, attending in person. Thank you very much. And last but not least, we are also joined by Professor Tae-Hwan Kim of the Korea National Diplomatic Academy, who will also be moderating. Thank you very much for your attendance. And now, ladies and gentlemen, before we go into the discussions as well as the signing of the agreement, first and foremost, allow me to introduce our host, Governor Won Hee-ryong, for his keynote address. Please welcome him with a big round of applause.
Hello, everyone. I am Won Hee-ryong, the governor of Jeju Special Self-Governing Province. I'd like to extend my heartfelt welcome to all of you who take part in the 16th Jeju Forum for Peace and Prosperity. You are now attending the session called Global Peace Cities Solidarity and Pacific Rim Parks City Members Conference, on-site and online. Today we are joined by a very special guest online, His Excellency Mikhail Gorbachev, the former president of the Soviet Union. We are celebrating the 30th anniversary of the first summit between the Republic of Korea and the Soviet Union. The summit in 1991 has a symbolic meaning as the end of the Cold War, and it was in Jeju where the summit was held. the session on Global Peace Cities Solidarity becomes much more meaningful with the presence of His Excellency Mikhail Gorbachev. And I shouldn't forget to mention the participation of another very important guest, His Excellency Juan Manuel Santos, the former president of Colombia. He was the sole recipient of the 2016 Nobel Peace Prize for his resolute efforts to bring the country's civil war to an end. My thanks also go to Mayor Wolfgang Grissard of Osnabrück, Germany, and Mayor Samuel Hazard of Verdun, France, for joining us to sign the joint agreement to establish Global Peace Cities Solidarity. Also, I sincerely appreciate all the participants online and offline in the session. I can thank those who are here on site and online more for your participation. We welcome you all. Distinguished guests, after the globalization of the 20th century, COVID-19 has managed to create an unprecedented era of isolation. As COVID-19 broke out in the globalized world, a crisis one place spread to the whole world and became a threat to the survival of mankind. This is not different from crises that have arisen from nuclear weapons or climate change. Due to the COVID pandemic, we are living our daily lives while being threatened for over a year and a half. Fortunately, social distancing, contactless communications, and vaccinations have helped us to overcome the COVID-19 crisis. Still, we are suffering from the damage of solidarity and cooperation between people, societies, regions, and countries. Nuclear weapons have been regarded as one of the major threats to humanity. However, there are new types of threats to the survival of humanity that have been emerging. The climate crisis due to global warming and the unprecedented pandemic have also been threatening us these days. Not only military measures such as nuclear weapons threaten peace. We are witnessing new elements such as climate change and pandemics which threaten the survival and peace of mankind. It is impossible that a single country can ban and discard the use of nuclear weapons, respond to the climate crisis, and tackle the pandemic. As it is hard to overcome these crises at a global scale without solidarity, it is also difficult to overcome the pandemic, recover our daily lives, and eventually move forward toward a peaceful world without solidarity and cooperation. Right now, human rights are being severely violated through war, starvation, discrimination, and abuse. Citizens of Myanmar continue their protest for democracy to fight against the military dictatorship. To go beyond the non-peaceful status, it requires solidarity and cooperation in an international society to eradicate poverty and make dictatorships resigned. That is why solidarity is an essential way to mutually understand and cooperate. Solidarity shouldn't work only for its limited range of individual national interests, but also aim to realize the universal interest of human beings. Esteemed colleagues, in one session of the Jeju Forum 2018, I proposed peace city solidarity through city diplomacy. I firmly believe that city diplomacy promotes exchanges and cooperation between cities based on a universal value called peace. I've also insisted that city diplomacy not only aims to realize individual national interests, but also create solidarity in private sectors. Jeju, the island of world peace, supports solidarity and cooperation to fight against non-peaceful elements which threaten the daily lives of human beings, and along with not only the existing peace cities, but cities that seek peace around the globe. By expanding solidarity among peace cities into a global scale, I hope to mutually respond to all the peace-threatening issues. Today we gather here again to discuss measures to take for the establishment of solidarity among peace cities. I believe today's joint agreement to establish the global peace city solidarity is the first step toward our goal. In fact, a lot of cities couldn't make it to participate in the venue today to sign the joint agreement due to the pandemic. However, in the era of post-COVID, the leading cities taking part in this event will make the future of the global peace city solidarity bright. First of all, Osnabrück is a German city where the peace treaty was concluded, and also the hometown of Erich Maria Remarque, the guru of wartime literature. Verdun is a French city where the most horrendous battle broke out during the First World War. The city has become a sacred place of peace, which reminds of the lessons from the past war. We've learned lessons from the security community of Europe. Security shouldn't only discuss military issues, but furthermore expand to various areas, including economy, culture, and human rights. We call Jeju an island of world peace. However, there were a lot of casualties from the April 3rd incident of Jeju uprising here in Jeju in 1947. Despite the tragedy, Jeju Islanders have wisely resolved the issues of the tragic under the spirit of reconciliation and coexistence. To respond to such effort of the Jeju residents, the National Assembly and the government of ROK legislated the amendment to the Jeju April 3rd Incident Special Act. By signing the joint agreement for the Global Peace Cities Solidarity as the first step toward solidarity, Jeju will learn how European peace cities view wars in their dark history. Furthermore, Jeju would like to share its experience of resolving historical issues through reconciliation and coexistence. The moderator of this session is Professor Kim Tae-hwan from the Korean National Diplomatic Academy. As one of the experts with the best knowledge of the public diplomacy of ROK, he will share many insights for solidarity between cities. After the session, we will have another session on Pacific Rim Parks City Members Conference, where we have 7 participating park cities. They will support the Global Peace Cities Solidarity. Each and every participant in today's session under the theme of sustainable peace, inclusive prosperity, are gathered here. I sincerely appreciate your participation, and I believe your participation will be the first step toward. Thank you.
Thank you once again, Governor Won, for your insightful remarks. He also mentioned that solidarity can only come about when we all rise above our individual needs and values and together seek for universal values altogether. And we also hope that this endeavor, which started in 2018, will be able to spread across the world and be able to muster the different political wills of peace cities all around the world. Thank you very much for your kind words. And next, we also have a great opportunity, as well as an honor, to invite former President of the USSR, Mr. Mikhail Gorbachev, for his special congratulatory remarks. Mr. Gorbachev, as our governor has mentioned, had visited Jeju some 30 years ago to attend a summit between Korea and the USSR. It would be great to welcome him back today, and today's address will be read out in English by his legal representative, Madam Yekaterina Zagladina, the president of the Permanent Secretariat of the World Summit of Nobel Peace Prize laureates. So please welcome her on the screen.
Address of former President of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev, to the participant of the Global Peace City Solidarity Session, the 16th Jeju Forum for Peace and Prosperity. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to welcome participants to the 16th Jeju Forum's Global Peace City Solidarity Session. For me, Jeju Island is associated with the memories of the successful historic meeting between the leaders of the Soviet Union and the Republic of Korea in April 1991. At that time, President Roh Dae-woo and I signed an agreement on the establishment of diplomatic relations between our countries, which marked the beginning of cooperation and the development of our relations. After 10 years, in 2001, I managed to visit your wonderful island again to learn more about its sightseeing and to admire its natural beauty. I can also think of another island, Okinawa, not so far from Jeju. It's a pity that the governor could not participate in this meeting. I attended several international conferences and meetings there, such as Ryukyu Forum in the early 2000s. They were all about democracy and security in the Asia-Pacific region. If the opportunity arises again, my foundation and my Japanese colleagues would be happy to organize and prepare an international forum on human security. Having read some of the documents of the Jeju Forum, I largely agree with the thoughts and concerns expressed there for our future. I'm often asked, is it time to draw some conclusions for the future? Will the world no longer be the same? I answer that it depends on what conclusions are drawn. And in this regard, I go back to the history of our fight against nuclear danger. We realized more than 30 years ago that this was our common enemy, a common threat. The leaders of the two countries, the US and the Soviet Union, said that nuclear war is unacceptable and that there can be no winner. Meetings, negotiations, and the signing of treaties on the reduction and even elimination of certain types of nuclear weapons followed. By now, 85% of nuclear arsenals have been destroyed. We must continue on this path. But today, 30 years after the end of the Cold War, we face new threats and new challenges. I am delighted that a representative of the Nobel Peace Prize Laureate Summit will speak here at the Jeju Forum. We, the laureates, have long called for a fundamental rethinking of the foundations of world politics. I would like to quote an excerpt from one of our appeals adopted back in 2005. Security must be based on giving priority to the urgent needs of people and respect for human life. Instead of exorbitant military spending that undermines security, the international community's resources should go to education and health. In particular, the fight against AIDS and tuberculosis. What is there to add? Only the name of the new terrible disease, COVID-19. In recent years, all we hear is talk about armaments, missiles, strikes. But is it not clear that war and the arms race do not solve today's global problems? War is a defeat, a failure of politics. Today, the common misfortune reminds us it is useless to think that you can hide that you can sit somewhere, that you can leave unattended some threats. No one can hide anymore. The response to today's challenges must be complex and comprehensive. Humanity needs to work it out together to reach a new level of international cooperation and contribute to a more reliable system of international security. The philosophical basis of this policy can be new political thinking, actualized in a rapidly changing world. The concept of new political thinking, created in the second half of the 1980s, proposed a project for the reorganization of the world in accordance with the universal values. The main ones are human life, freedom, and security for everyone. 3 decades ago, new political thinking represented the hope for progress in democratization and the possibility of a more equitable arrangement of international relations. The politics of new thinking led to the end of the Cold War. New thinking implies that, while respecting autonomy and respecting the principle of non-interference in each other's affairs, states and peoples recognize a shared responsibility for the survival of humanity. Awareness of this makes it possible to move from confrontation to partnership. The crisis of pandemic 2020 puts the issue back on the agenda. The ideas of new thinking must return to world politics. In the current seemingly deadlocked situation, it is the duty of experienced, authoritative people who have shouldered the burden of difficult, responsible decisions, and those who come to replace them today to have their say. As long as my health permitted, I participated almost every year in the Nobel Peace Prize laureates forums. Our conversations were always interesting and enlightening. They are very different people, each with their own agenda. But we all agree on one thing: history is not fatal, nothing is predetermined, and each of us can do something to make it move in the direction of peace, justice, and humanity. And so, pessimism is not our ally. The road is for those who walk. It is no accident that these words from the ancient Indian Vedas have entered the language of the world. They contain great wisdom. They contain the confidence that mankind, which has learned to explore vast spaces, penetrate the mysteries of the universe, and create incalculable material wealth, will also cope with another, perhaps more difficult task: to arrange the global world so that all people and every individual in it could live safely, in reasonable harmony with nature, in accordance with the requirements of reason and morality. Mikhail Gorbachev, Moscow, June 15th, 2021.
Thank you, Madam, for reciting the letter on his behalf. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we will move on to the signing ceremony on the joint agreement for Global Peace Cities Solidarity. However, I would also like to mention that the Mayor, Wolfgang Griesert, the Lord Mayor of Osnabrück in Germany, had to attend an urgent meeting regarding COVID-19. And Mr. Samuel Azar, the mayor of Verdun, also could not attend due to a pre-arranged schedule, so he has sent us a video. Now we have Governor Won up on the stage. So before we begin, I would like to read out the statement. On the occasion of the Global Peace Cities Solidarity Session held as part of the 16th Jeju Forum for Peace and Prosperity on June 25th, 2021, members of the Global Peace Cities Solidarity, hereinafter referred to as member cities, agreed to strengthen cooperation and promote this partnership as follows. 1. Member cities will promote solidarity between one another and strive for the establishment of a consultative organization. 2, member cities will actively cooperate to hold meetings on a regular basis to promote the global peace cities solidarity. 3, to achieve the above, Jeju will strengthen the connection between solidarity at the annual Jejuforum for Peace and Prosperity. 4, member cities will broaden the city's network by engaging with one another, identifying potential member cities, and designing and conducting joint projects. 5, this agreement is non-binding, and member cities will honor the agreement by enhancing cooperation and promoting peace in a continuous manner. This agreement is written and signed in English, with each of the member cities holding one copy. June 25th, 2021. Jeju Special Self-Governing Province, Republic of Korea, Osnabrück, Germany, Verdun, France. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the statement, and now we will sign the statement in their respective areas. 네, 도지사님 서명 부탁드리겠습니다. Ladies and gentlemen, please give him a big round of applause. We will now take a commemorative photo. 네, 일어서셔서 앞으로 향하게 들어주시면 감사하겠습니다. With the mayors of Osnabrück and Verdun all together. Please give him another warm round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. 네, 고맙습니다.
Thank you and congratulations. Please be seated, Mr. Governor.
And now I would like to ask some comments on the signing of the agreement. We turn to the floor to the honorable mayors who have joined us. As we mentioned, it is unfortunate that both of the mayors of Osnabrück and Verdun were not able to attend in person due to their urgent schedules. The mayor of Osnabrück has sent us a couple of comments, and they will be read aloud by Director Thomas Schneider of the Remark Peace Center. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome him on screen.
Good morning. Lord Mayor agrees that apologize very much that he cannot attend, but he has a very urgent meeting and connected with the corona pandemic. But he gave me a short note for the signing of the Global Peace Network. And these are his words. The corona pandemic has cast a bright spotlight on the threats for democracy, for freedom, for multilateralism, and for peace. More than ever, we need to face the challenges of our times: increasing nationalism, political populism, religious fanatism, and global migration. Therefore, the Peace City of Osnabrück is honored and proud of becoming part of an international global network of other peace cities who altogether understand and promote the need for dialogue, international understanding, and resilience. The city and the people of Osnabrück thankfully look forward to our future cooperation, meetings, and common projects. Wolfgang Griesert.
Thank you very much. Please give him a big round of applause. Thank you. And thank you, Lord Mayor, for your comments. Also, the Mayor of Verdun, Mr. Samuel Azar, has also sent us a video for his comments.
Verdun. Verdun, ce nom résonne à travers le monde. Le nom de cette bataille de la Grande Guerre, l'enfer, et aujourd'hui Verdun, symbole de la réconciliation, de l'amitié franco-allemande. Verdun, capitale mondiale de la paix, des libertés et des droits de l'homme. Plus que dans toute autre époque, il est important, il est même essentiel. C'est notre devoir impérieux de promouvoir la paix, de former les générations futures aux principes et aux valeurs pour lesquels nous défendons et nous nous engageons. Les villes de la paix. Ce sont, au-delà de symboles, ce sont surtout des engagements à promouvoir un monde de paix et en paix. Au nom de la ville de Verdun, je souhaite au Forum Paix et Prospérité un moment d'échange, de partage, un moment aussi de confrontation pour promouvoir l'idéal de paix. Et permettez-moi de saluer deux grands hommes qui ont œuvré pour défendre et promouvoir les valeurs universelles que promeut Verdun, Mikhail Gorbatchev et M. Santos.
Thank you very much to both of our mayors for their short but, of course, effective messages. And now, last but not least, I would like to turn the floor over to our Mr. Governor Won to please share some comments.
Lord Mayor Wolfgang Griesert, Mayor Samuel Hazard, thank you for joining us today. By taking this opportunity, Jeju will learn and share the peace spirits of your cities and will build and lead this network of solidarity between cities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Governor Won. 네, 다시 한번 감사드립니다, 도지사님. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our signing ceremony for the joint statement of the establishment of the Global Peace Cities Solidarity. And let us move on to our session. I believe our governor will have to leave the hall a little bit early due to a pre-arranged schedule. So once our governor leaves the hall, please give him a warm round of applause once again. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And we will now set the stage to move on to our next session and the discussion. So ladies and gentlemen, please bear with us. We'll only take a few minutes. Thank you. Please give our governor a big round of applause. Thank you very much. I believe that we're now almost ready for the stage and the discussions. With COVID-19 and the pandemic, we do take a little bit more time to set the stage, so we kindly ask for your understanding. We wanted to ensure a safe environment for all of our participants. And moving on, let us now invite Mr. Juan Manuel Santos, the former president of Colombia, for his presentation. And Mr. Juan Manuel Santos has sent us a pre-recorded video for his presentation. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome him on the screen.
Dear friends, it is an honor to join you at the 16th Jeju Forum for Peace and Prosperity, a regional multilateral dialogue to discuss two issues that are critical for the future of the world: sustainable peace and inclusive prosperity. The world will not be the same after the pandemic. The world cannot be the same after the pandemic. It needs to be better. The COVID-19 virus, an invisible enemy that we have been fighting for over a year now, has reminded us that we live in one house, our planet Earth, and that we are one race, the human race. The trend towards isolation and xenophobic nationalism, which has undermined the foundations of the world order and the very concept of multilateralism, invented precisely to preserve world peace, must be reversed. But by no means to go back to business as usual and continue doing what we did before. We must, as so many people have said, build back better, much better. We should never forget that global threats can only be addressed through global action. Unfortunately, too many countries still cling to the illusion that they can survive in isolation, that their borders can somehow magically protect them while the rest of the planet burns. When talking about survival of species on the planet, borders don't matter. Ideologies don't matter. Nationalities don't matter. We need to rebuild a new order with more empathy, more compassion, more solidarity. In the past century, humankind fought world wars, led by nations that claimed the supremacy of their race, their religion, or their ideology, and despised the race, the religion, and the ideology of others. Sadly, the ghosts of religion and political fanaticism, of nationalism, of racism, are still around in today's scenario, instilling fear to gain followers. Fear of the other, fear of the one who is different, fear of the unknown, fear of what they do not understand. How many times have we surrendered to fear and have lost the opportunity to meet an adversary, to forgive, or to reconcile? How many times have we listened to the words of those leaders who divide instead of uniting, who excludes these others instead of bringing people together, who promote hate instead of fostering hope? Leaders who scream, our country first, our needs first, our nation first, are in the bottom saying, our fears first. As they send young people to die in useless wars on behalf of a nation that no one can define. I do not want, and I know you don't either, a world that divides us and pushes us further apart. After many years of war in Colombia, my country, we are finally on the path towards peace. We signed an agreement to put an end to the 50-year armed conflict, and now we are working to achieve sustainable, long-lasting, and inclusive peace. Peacemaking is one thing, to silence the guns, which we have already achieved, but another much more difficult that demands patience and perseverance is peace building. It means learning how to choose hope over fear, how to choose love over hate. And that is something that needs to start in our own hearts and souls, in our families, in our communities, in our schools, and in our cities. Every conflict, no matter how difficult it is, can be resolved through dialogue and commitment. You must put yourself in the shoes of others and understand that we all have feelings, we all have aspirations, we all have dreams, no matter how different we are, no matter what color of skin we have, no matter to what God we pray to, we can always find common ground. We can always compromise. If you come to realize this, you will find that the impossible can be possible. Today, we must find new ways in which we can relate human beings with nature. How to do it is being discussed all over the world. I am part of a group of former leaders created by Nelson Mandela called the Elders. We have identified five main points to build after the pandemic a better world than the one we had before. First, recommit to the UN Charter, especially in its objective to save the world from the scourge of war. Reassume negotiations for effective nuclear non-proliferation and disarmament must be at the top of the agenda. 2, empower the UN's mandate of collective action to address the most pressing global problems. Third, strengthen global health systems through sustained action and financial support. Fourth, show greater climate ambition to stop global warming. This, in my view, is the most important and dangerous threat the world has. We must reconnect with Mother Earth and its extraordinary biodiversity in order to preserve it, to give back what we have taken and hopefully stop climate change. If we achieve only that, a change in our behavior towards the environment, we could say that the coronavirus, despite all its cost and all its pain, pushed us towards a better future. And fifth, mobilize citizens, civil society, businesses, and other stakeholders towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. The fight against poverty and inequality needs a new approach and a change of paradigm in our economic system if we are to achieve inclusive prosperity and leave no one behind. A necessary, a vital condition to make all this possible is to reverse the trend against multilateralism. The world needs to make a new pledge for stronger global cooperation. I salute the joint agreement on the establishment of Global Peace Cities Solidarity, an initiative that aims to enhance cooperation and promote peace between member cities. It is a much needed display of collaboration, and I sincerely hope more cities will follow and join this initiative. The threat of war and violence in the world can certainly be minimized by accepting to submit to a new global rules-based system where preserving the planet, seeking more social justice, reducing conflict, and achieving truly sustainable peace should be the priorities. The most urgent test, however, that still needs leadership from the international community is action to end the pandemic. We must feel ashamed with the state of global vaccine rollout. A baffling 85% of shots have been administered in high and upper middle income countries, while only 0.3% of doses have been administered in low income countries. There is also a striking gap between continents. Africa has the slowest vaccination rate of any continent, and some countries yet to start mass vaccination campaigns. Most poor countries face waiting until at least 2024 to have their people immunized. Some may never get there. The world is not short of leaders taking admirable measures to beat the pandemic within their borders. But ending the pandemic cannot be achieved in any one country alone. COVID-19 anywhere is a threat to humanity everywhere. As has been said, nobody is safe until everybody is safe. Today's unprecedented pandemic that has killed almost 4 million people, pushed tens of millions into destitution, and is threatening deadly new outbreaks. That demands unprecedented measures. Supporting actions to make available a vaccine to everyone, everywhere, a truly people's vaccine, would make the world safer and more prosperous, creating a real inclusive prosperity that would give people across the globe the chance to wake up in a world free from the virus. Dear friends, I commend your initiative to bring in cities together in order to foster cooperation and promote solidarity between each other. Today, more than ever, we need to reaffirm our common humanity in the face of the devastating pandemic we have all endured over the past year, and of even greater existential threats like climate change and the destruction of our biodiversity. we need to work together so that sustainable peace and inclusive prosperity can be a reality for future generations. We owe it to them. Thank you and congratulations.
Well, thank you once again for your great presentation and providing food for thought as well. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll move on to the discussion, and I would like to bring our moderator and one of our panel discussants up on the stage. Please welcome them with a big hand. So, Professor Kim, once you're ready, please take the floor. Then we'll give you a little bit of time if you need some more time.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Please.
Well, thank you very much, MC Joe, for your excellent emceeing.
Thank you very
All
much.
right. I am Tae-Hwan Kim, and I'm so much honored actually to have this opportunity to moderate this great session today. Today's joint agreement, I believe that that's actually a very, very meaningful outcome of 5-year-long endeavor initiated by the Jeju Special Self-Governing Province in 2017, right? My understanding is that in 2017, right at this place, Jejuporam, the rough idea of global peace series solidarity was set on the table as an agenda. And then a year after, 2018, was officially proposed by the city again at the same Jeju Forum. And finally, today, well, last year we didn't have any forum on this at the forum. This session was actually interrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic, and finally the 5-year endeavor came to fruition today. As Governor Won Hee-ryong said today in his remarks, we just have made a big first step forward toward consolidating the global cities peace cities solidarity. And I believe that we have a lot of tasks lying ahead, a lot of both opportunities and challenges. And today's panel, it's a very short panel, short discussion panel, but then we will actually gather together 3 founding members and the renowned peace institutes in 3 cities. Germany's the city of Osnabrück and Verdun in France, and also Jeju. So it's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Schneider, Thomas Schneider, who is the director of Erich Maria Remarque Peace Center at Osnabrück University. And also we have Mr. Philipp Hansch, the director of World Center for Peace, Liberties and Human Rights in Verdun. And I understand that the 2 gentlemen, they already have joined us at Jeju Peace Forum in past years. So I'm sure that both of you are quite familiar about the project, about the format, about what we are doing here. And also on Jeju side, we have Professor Bang Myung-nim, who is, I would argue that he is the authority in studies of Korean War, and also, for that matter, peace. Okay? So, without further ado, I would like to provide the opportunity. I mean, we can, excuse me, we gather together to actually share our ideas and precious experiences of the founding member cities, those two institutes, Osnabrück and Verdun, and also Jeju Special Self-Governing Province. So first of all, I'd like to invite Dr. Thomas Schneider to share his ideas and also the experiences of Remarkable Peace Center briefly. We don't have much time here. I'm really sorry for that. But then I would like to first invite Dr. Thomas Schneider. Dr. Schneider, please.
Yes, hello everybody, and thank you for inviting me again to the Jeju-Forum. I'm really honored to be with you, unfortunately not personally. But first of all, I'm very glad that today is the day when the Global Peace City Solidarity Action and Paper has been signed, and this is a very important step forward on our long road to achieve more global cooperation. So the Erich Maria Remarque Peace Center is an institution of the city and the University of Osnabrück, and we are working closely together with the city, of course, and the city's attempts to promote peace. And the city of Osnabrück also has a long experience regarding cooperation between cities and working together on the same achievements and on the same agenda. And perhaps this is one possible model for the Global Peace City Solidarity Network to become more based, for example, on the real projects which should come after signing the paper. Most important, I think, is to get the citizens of the peace cities also together, not only having a paper signed, but also have the people and the citizens of these peace cities engaged in the whole project. So we need something like an information campaign first, that this network has been established and what its purposes would be. Thank you. This is just a brief introduction. Thank you.
Professor Kim, please turn on the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Thank you very much, Dr. Schneider. And then we will now invite Mr. Philip Hansch to share the experience of the Center for World Peace with us. Mr. Hansch, please.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Dear friends from all the peace cities, I'm very glad to participate to this Jeju Forum, especially in this discussion dedicated to peace cities. Please let me share with you some ideas. In 1989, when the wall of Berlin fell, everybody thought about the end of a dangerous time, the nuclear terror. The way was open for prosperity around the free world, and it was the case in Europe. In 1989 also, the idea of the World Center for Peace became reality when the former General Secretary of United Nations, Mr. Javier Pérez de Cuellar, came to Verdun to launch our project. The World Center for Peace, Liberties and Human Rights was supposed to be a place where to discuss, a place where to understand the springs of a crisis. The city of Verdun was looking for such a place where the symbol of Verdun and its history should be helping to prevent crises, and where the city of Verdun should work with other cities of peace around the world. To understand this aim, you have to know that the city of Verdun cannot be twinned with any town in the world. This decision was taken just after the First World War, when it appears that the Battle of Verdun needs to be and to stay a symbol for the future. So it was decided to preserve the battlefield of Verdun to let the next generation understanding the human madness during the war. So the World Center for Peace became the place where the cooperation between Verdun and other cities around the world or institutions could be legal. In 1989, many projects, from 1989, many projects have been led by the World Center for Peace with many countries. The example of the history between Germany and France was often used to close different points of view, such as between Palestine and Israel or Turkey and Armenia. The bet was to work with young people to allow them to come back to their countries with open minds. But since 1989, the world has not stayed in peace. Conversely, the world and the international relationships are complicated. Crises have born in many countries liberated of the Cold War order. Even sub-real war exists. The crises and conflicts look different. No need to use soldiers or bombs when using technology or economy is enough to defeat your adversary. Looking to Ukraine, the crisis was led by hackers, fake news, influence to develop nationalism. Some populist leaders around the world have no worry about human rights, justice, democracy, thinking only to preserve their power. They don't hesitate to build new walls to stop multilateralism discussion. They don't respect any international laws. Often they just want to seduce their population and are looking at short term. At the same time, the economy is a priority of each elected people, letting less money to develop institutions and actions to defend and promote peace. So, faced to this new asymmetric conflicts, faced to this new order in the world, faced to fake news, faced to nationalist and populist leaders, faced to a reduction of human rights, including press liberties, cities are well placed to be new actors to promote and defend peace, as well as the big capitals have decided to work together faster than states to protect environment. The cities of peace have the duty to promote and defend peace because, at last, in every conflict, the casualties are always for civilians who live in cities. We who are working in these cities or their institutions, we must consider the changes in the world in order to develop new forms of action and new forms of cooperation. Doing this, the power of these cities will be recognized and will attract visitors and support for our actions. We deeply believe that we must offer hope to people who are coming in our cities. We must exceed their expectations. Verdun is not only a place of war, but also a place of hope. On September 22 in 1984, former French President François Mitterrand and German Chancellor Helmut Kohl were together, hand by hand, on the battlefield. This iconic image shows the ability to exceed dark history. Each year at the World Center for Peace, we like to develop new ways to attract visitors and high personalities to talk about international relationships. We deeply believe that young people need to be in the heart of our action because they will be tomorrow's citizens and they have in charge to protect our world. Last year, during the COVID pandemic, we have allowed 100 students to become one-day journalists and to meet international leaders. This year, we will use gastronomy with international great cookers to interest young people in diplomacy and let them discover other cultures than staying behind their screens. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Hans. I really would like to ask a couple questions, but then the time schedule doesn't allow me to do that. So let me, forgive me to turn to Professor Bang Myung-nim. 아마 그 제주의
I believe that in the island of Jeju, we must talk about the peace identity of this island. And we cannot make it possible without the April 3rd incident that has been the biggest massacre which took place about 60 years ago or 50 years ago. And there is a special act on the April 3rd massacre in Jeju. And the act was passed in the National Assembly, Congress at that time. And now is the time to think about the peace identity of this island. And we have to think about the real, true meaning of the peace and solidarity. Would you share your opinion about this viewpoint? Thank you. Upon the request from the organizer, I will speak in Korean. And this season, for me, is really meaningful, personally, because there has been a lot of philosophers in the Western world who talked about the tragedy from massacre. They highlighted that we must build a holy shrine for peace. And as you know, Osnabrück was the place where the 30-year war took place. There, people gave a birth to Westphalian peace, and the freedom for religion, freedom for humanity was created in that city. So it is regarded as the first city of peace. So while walking in the streets of Osnabrück, I was deeply touched. I almost burst into tears because in this small city of Osnabrück, a lot of people lost their lives. However, it is reborn as the greatest city of peace. The First World War was the biggest war in human history, and the battlefield took place in Osnabrück, so a lot of people were victimized from the World War. However, when we were advancing into the new era, we just got a shock that in only one community, this many people could lost their lives because of the war. This reminded us of the ugly face of the war. And that's the same case with Jeju Island. So the world went through the World War I, World War II, and the era of Cold War. So this is the reason that it's really meaningful to forge the cooperation for the solidarity of the global peace cities. This symbolizes the people's effort and endeavor to create a peaceful place to live in. And after his visit to Jeju Island about 10 years ago, I had a dialogue with the former president of Gorbachev, and I said, "You are such a great person, and how you are the first president of Russia, president of the Soviet Union, who visited Jeju Island, where a lot of people lost their lives from massacre." And the former president of Colombia also received the Nobel Peace Prize. So it was really meaningful that we are having those guests today. So it's really meaningful. And there is another poet who commemorated the Korean youngsters who lost their lives in the war, and he received Nobel Literature Prize. So I was really honored that even the global citizens paid attention to the tragedy that took place in Korea. And Unfortunately, due to COVID-19, a lot of events are canceled these days. But I was just honored to meet the people who symbolizes peace today. And given this, human beings are so weak. However, they have endless potential. So by forging this global peace city solidarity, Jeju Island will go beyond the symbol of a mere tragedy of April 3rd massacre. So in this era of a lot of conflicts between the conservatives and progressives, we have to get a step forward for reconciliation, coexistence, and mutual prosperity. So I hope Jeju Island will play a pivotal role in bridging the gaps between the two parties in this bipolarized world, and they will take the initiative in realizing peace. Under the circumstances of COVID-19 pandemic, it's really hard to meet people face to face. However, I would like to highlight that the world is just a community of different people. So between people, there lies the actual world. So without without human network, the world will never exist. So in this regard, I would like to congratulate you on kicking off the solidarity between the global peaceful cities. And these three cities will take the initiative in realizing paradigm shift. So this will totally overhaul our views on the globe. This is why I'm really delighted to talk with you today on this meaningful occasion. And this solidarity will even deepen and improve the relations between people. Thank you.
I think he actually precisely pointed out one very important commonality shared by three cities: Jeju, Redang, and Osnarok, which is creating, actually breathing reconciliation and healing, overcoming tremendous tragedy. That I think it's a very, very important starting point, because we have a very important commonality in our historical background. Okay, let me do this. 이렇게 하겠습니다. 시간이 굉장히 제한되어 있기 때문에 제가 사회자로서 질문.
As a moderator, I think it would be better to open the floor so that you can ask questions. So I'm sorry that we need to be really punctual, so one or more people can ask questions to any of the panels. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand and please tell us your information. Good afternoon, I am.
반갑습니다. 저는 2019년서부터 지금까지 이 세션을 계속 듣고 있습니다. 관심을 많이 갖고 있는데요. 오늘 참석하신 분들이 좀
I've been interested in this session since 2019. And I wish we were able to invite Kim Jong-un from North Korea to this session. Through this session, I think Jeju showed this leadership based on this agenda for peace. And also, personally, I was touched by the initiative. Actually, I'd like to ask a question to the moderator. There are many peace cities around the world. Seoul, Gyeonggi Province, Gangwon Province, as well as Incheon in Korea, all these cities are pursuing peace. Compared to these cities, I think Jeju has its own program that is competitive against the other peace cities. So is there any strategy for you to encourage the participation like myself?
Not panels. If you allow me, then I briefly answer. also, let me just make this as a concluding remarks of this session because we don't have much time. 저는 그렇게 생각합니다. 지금 we talk about the peace today, but then when we talk about the peace together, the notion of peace, very extended notion of peace. I would argue that it's not simply absence of violence, absence of war, but I would argue that we actually have in mind very positive, extended notion of peace, positive peace. So when we say positive peace, there are numerous elements composing the notion of positive peace. So in many cities and provinces in Korea, for example, Pyeongchang, Incheon, Gosong, Busan, Seoul, they again advocate for peace. But then when you look into the elements of peace they are supporting, then there are slight differences. So my point is that what kind of element of positive peace do Jeju people are standing for? Okay, is it April 3rd uprising, or as Governor Won Hee-ryong said last year, 4 types of peace the Jeju is pursuing. Say, for example, healing, peace from healing, peace from tolerance, peace in energy, peace in the ecosystem. So that's totally up to you. How would you specialize in peace? What kind of element of peace? Probably Jeju, not only Jeju, but also Verdun and Osnabrück, they have their own specific elements of peace. Then you once you choose it, then you just the elements you have chosen, then you just build up specific programs for people, for Jeju people, for Verdun people, for Osnabrück people. That's what I would like to say. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Philip Hansch, and thank you, Mr. Schneider. I wish we could have more time, but I assure you that we're going to have, because this is simply a very grand beginning, commencement, that I'm sure that we will have more time to gather together to share our ideas and experiences. Thank you very much for joining us via online. Thank you very much, Professor Park Myung-nim. Thank you very much, the audiences of people joining us today. Thank you. This will conclude the session.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you once again, and another big thank you to Professor Kim for the moderation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you felt that it was quite fruitful. Thank you very much. We will now take a short break and, of course, come back with the Pacific Rim Parks City Members Conference at 5:10. So we have about 30 minutes. Once again, thank you for your attendance, and excuse us for cutting short the discussion, but we do have some more coming up in the next session. So please, we ask for your participation. Thank you.